Hello, good day to everyone. This is Mohammed Nasim Firdaus, and I would like to welcome you to this course that is Methods and Materials of Teaching English. And today's topic is Approach, Method, and Technique. We will be going through these three major issues which will be very important in this course. In this particular slide, I will be focusing mainly on the approach, and the following slides will be more focused on method and technique. But let's have a quick look on the basic of these three major issues which will be important for identifying and understanding the methodologies of teaching English. So I believe all of you will be bearing with me to identify and understand of these major issues, and the information are collected from various sources, especially from Rodgers. So based on Edward Anthony's model, approach is mainly on the assumptions and beliefs. The beliefs and assumptions by the stakeholders, by those specific methods, what they do believe about language and language learning. Language and language learning are two separate things, and both of them are specified under approach. And method is mainly on the theories and practice. And the method is an overall guideline which converts theories into practices. That means the theories of how to teach the skills, what should be the content, what should be the design, syllabus and other things, what will be the teacher's role, learner's role, all things, all theories turned into practice under method. And technique is the classroom procedures which is followed by teachers to apply in his or her classroom to carry on or conduct the classroom. For example, the teacher may follow or may arrange pair work or group work to continue those activities, those tasks. So those will be considered as technique. So here you can find a model designed by Rodgers and Rodgers. You will find on page number at page number 33 from the textbook, which I already told that is uploaded in your course page. And this summary refers that for every method there are three sections, and it is actually hierarchical. Then first one is approach, and then design, and then procedure. For approach, it is mainly the theories of two issues. Number one is the language, and number two is the nature of language learning. So what are the features of language, or which features of language are needed to be assumed or believed are identified under approach, and how language will be learned, and the features of language learning will be carried on is specified under approach. Whereas under design, the objectives, syllabus and the activities, the role of the learners, role of the teachers, and the role of the instructional materials are specified. The procedure section mainly focuses on the techniques and the resources and the patterns of the lessons and the tactics and strategies applied and used by the teachers during developing the method. So this is whole designed by Rodgers and Rodgers, and whenever you will be going through with different methodologies, you will find these three sections specified in most of the methodologies. For example, you will find these things under audiolingual lingual method, and then you will find in CLT, Celstopedia, in other words. Though we'll not be looking at all those methodologies, but some major methodologies which are applied. Let's see. So here is the point made by Anthony. Approach is a set of correlative assumptions dealing with the nature of language and the nature of language learning and teaching. So we have three major issues actually: the nature of language, the nature of language learning and teaching. And it is axiomatic. That means it describes the nature of the subject matter to be taught. So as it is based on the assumptions, on the belief and assumption on language and nature of language learning and the teaching, it actually describes as the subject matter to be taught. So it will be based on the beliefs of the individuals how should learn a language. So these three issues we are talking about: the nature of language, the nature of language learning, the nature of learning. And of course there will come the nature of language teaching as well. But there are differences between the nature of language learning and the nature of learning. So we will find these different views of the nature of language. Under nature of language, we will find the structural view, the functional view, and the interactional view. The structural view refers that language is just a structure. For example, as we learned different tenses, we try to learn through structure. For example, under present tense, we learn that subject plus present form of verb plus object consists of present tense structure. So in one view, language is considered as structure. Another view refers language as functional. It functions and during and developing the expression. And another view refers as the interactional view, which comprises that language is all about interacting between individuals. It is a social interaction, it's interacting tool and for developing interpersonal relationship. So the common assumptions about the nature of the language. So these are the common assumptions by different methodologies: the silent way, audiolingual method, communicative language teaching, total physical response. The silent way refers that the silent way assumes that language is a group of sounds with a specific meaning and organized by grammatical rules. So it thinks that language is based morely on the structure and the function. And then under audiolingual method, it refers language as everyday spoken utterance. So it focuses mainly on the sounds, mainly on the vocal interaction. And then we have communicative language teaching, which is mainly based on the functional views of language. That means language is a system for the expression of meaning. And under total physical response, language is considered as grammatical rules, and language consists of language chunks, almost like a grammar translation method, where language is considered as structure, nothing else. So what is learning? What do we understand by learning? So we can find here by Alan, and according to Alan, we have found these definitions of learning. First one is a change in behavior as a result of experience or practice. For example, if I want to learn how to ride a motorcycle, I can learn through experience or practice. I can learn by experiencing and through seeing other how to ride a motorcycle, or I can ride the motorcycle and I can learn as. And then the acquisition of knowledge. So that means whenever subconscious learning happens and I learn automatically. Knowledge gained through study. That means by reading the manuals, by reading the definitions, by reading different books, we can learn and we can gather knowledge. And to gain knowledge of or skill on through study, teaching, instruction, or experience. And for example, you are learning this particular course or this particular lesson through instruction, and through this instruction or this experience, you can get the knowledge as well. And the process of gaining knowledge, learning is the process of gaining knowledge. So whenever you are trying to get the knowledge, trying to gain knowledge, is considered as learning. And learning is a process by which behaviors is changed, shaped, or controlled. That means, for example, if I tell you or give you some instruction and it changes your behavior, it reshapes your behavior, or it controls your behavior, and you are able to learn something new, then we can call it as learning. And the last one is that the individual process of constructing understanding based on experience from a wide range of sources. So the role of individuals, you have already found it in your yesterday course, that every individual learns differently in different process. So those individuals can learn individually and construct understanding and learn. And the nature of language learning. So what's the features of language learning? So an individual can learn a language in behaviorism, or through nativism, or through constructivism. Behaviorism refers these three main process: stimulus, response, and reinforcement. The individual can generate stimulus, and from that stimulus, response can be generated, and after response there will be reinforcement. For example, drilling or exercise or repetition and can make this thing happen, make this thing as a habitation process. For example, it will consist a habit formation by saying a lot of the times. That means drilling, you can learn things. So it comes naturally, it comes automatically. So it comes from your behavior. So you can learn a language from behaviorism. Nativism refers to the nativist view. That means the way a child acquired language. A nativist believes that every child has a device referred as language acquisition device, LAD. And through that LAD, a child learns a language naturally. According to constructivist, the constructivism way of learning refers that the interaction the child gathered during developing his childhood. For example, gathering knowledge and information from the environment and around it, help it to acquire a language. So nature of learning is referred as we talked about this behaviorism. It is a theory, and you will find it under Oderinger method, where I said that habit formation process as makes you to learn something. So that's one way. And of course, cognitive and constructivist view of learning, we talked about this thing as well. So one can learn and through the view of constructivist in this process, like constructivist view learning as the result of mental construction. So his or her learning is developed in his brain. So that is learning take place when new information is built into and added on to an individual's current structure of knowledge, understanding, and skills. For example, you have some knowledge or some kind of information, and then those information was replaced by another information, and the newer information, another modified information. Then you will have those particular knowledge. That's how you will be able to learn. So these following assumptions relating to theories of learning and teaching. So we talked about about the nature of language learning, nature of learning, and here we will talk about the theories of learning and teaching. So these two things are different, learning and teaching. So these are the methodologies I talked about earlier. The silent way, Suggestopedia, community language learning is another one, and audiolingual method. And based on these things, these are the issues, these are the assumptions we can find. Learning is facilitated if language learners discover rather than repeat and remember without understanding what is to be learned. So from the silent way, from this methodology, silent way, learning and teaching is mainly based on learners' discoveries. If learner discovers this information, then he or she will be able to learn that particular language. According to Suggestopedia, learning involves the unconscious functions. Here, I would like to refer it subconscious rather than unconscious, as well as the conscious functions and subconscious functions. So you can learn and having proper knowledge. For example, when you learn in a classroom, so you are learning consciously, or you can learn subconsciously. For example, you are walking on a street and you have seen some English words on a billboard, and you identify the meaning from the text. Then the learning would be considered as subconscious. And under Suggestopedia, the norms of the society often block the process of learning. So yes, so if you learn naturally, so then that means that you can understand the language, but it is possible that the norms, the rules of the society can block the process of learning and can block the process of your language learning. And under community language learning will take place if language learners maintain their feeling of security. So if the learners feel that yes, it's okay, there is face saving, there is no humiliation in there, so one learner can learn freely, so that particular learner can learn language in a better way. And under audiolingual method, language learning is a process of habit formation. That's what we say that through habit you can learn a language. So all is here. We talked about the assumptions because we are talking about the approach. So assumption about learning and teaching, which have been developed from theories in psychology, seem to develop faster than those about the nature of language. So we have three issues: nature of language learning, and nature of language teaching. So rather than nature of language, the assumptions are developed faster for nature of language learning and language teaching. So more ideas, more beliefs are there to learn a language. So what is methods then? Definitely we'll talk about that, but you need to wait for the next slide for question section, and you need to ask that in forums. Thank you.